Today's lesson is going to be on the properties of exponents. So I'm going to do a couple of examples that use the different properties. So this first one, we have a power raised to a power. So the rule is we just simply multiply that. So this is going to be g to the negative 6 times negative 7. So 6 times 7 is 42, and a negative times a negative is a positive. So this would be g to the 42nd power. This one, they're all k's and they're all being multiplied together, so we add their exponents. So we have negative 1 plus 0 plus 18. So that would equal 17. So this one would be k to the 17th power. When we have division, the rule is subtract, but in this case, we have to simplify the numerator first. So we have to add the exponents. They're all y's, so we can add all three of those exponents together. So the numerator is going to be 5 plus a negative 1 would be 4, and then we have to divide that by y squared. So the rule is to subtract when it's the same base. We can subtract the exponents. So the answer to this is y squared. Here we have an exponent outside of a set of parentheses. We have two exponents inside, so we have to multiply. So the first one is w to the 9th times 8, and then we have x to the 0 times 8. So that's going to simplify to w to the 72nd power and x to the 0 power. And we learned that anything to the 0 power is a 1. So w to the 72 power times 1 is just going to be w to the 72nd power. So same sort of problem here. We have a negative 6 exponent that has to be distributed out. So I'm going to have v to the 6 times negative 6, w to the negative 3rd times negative 6, and x to the 8 times negative 6. So that would be v to the negative 36, w to the 18th, and x to the negative 48th. Now this one involves a little bit more. If you think about this as a fraction, we could put a 1 underneath of it, and anything with a negative exponent has to go to the opposite spot on the fraction. So these ones are on the top. They are going to move to the bottom. So I'm going to have w to the 18th left on top, and v to the 36th, and x to the 48th on the bottom. And when they move to the bottom, or when they move positions, then it becomes a positive exponent. And then we have one more. This one was in the 90s. So you're going to see some problems that look like this. Looking at the top, I don't have anything. They're all different variables at the top, but at the bottom we can do some simplifying. So I'm going to go through and look for t's. So I have t to the negative first, t to the 0, t, which if it's just a letter, that means it has an exponent of 1. So I'm going to add those. Negative 1 plus 0 plus 1. That's going to equal out to t to the 0 power. And remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. So those t's are actually going to be canceled out on the bottom because we are not going to write a 1. Multiplying by 1 or dividing by 1 is not going to change anything. Then let's look at the u's. We have u squared here. We have just a regular u, so that's a 1. And we have this u to the negative 24th. So when I add those together, I'm going to have u to the negative 22, negative 21st. So I've simplified those. And then I'm going to work with the v's. I have v to the 23rd, v to the negative first, and just a regular v, which is a 1. So that would simplify out to v to the 23rd. And then lastly, we're going to have to look at the w's. I have w here, that's a 1. Then we have a 5. And then we have a 0. So adding that together, that's w to the 6th power. So I'm going to copy down the top. We didn't do anything to the top. And then I'm going to rewrite what we have simplified here for the bottom. So the t's canceled out. Remember, that was a 1, so we're not going to write that. And then I have u to the negative 21st, v to the 23rd, and w to the 6th power. So now this is a division problem where we have to subtract. So there's no t's to subtract, so we're not going to do anything with that. But since it's a negative 1, it has to go to the bottom to become a positive 1. So I have t to the first power. It's going to be at the bottom. Then we have u's. We have 9 minus a negative 21. So that turns into 9 plus 21, which would be 30. So that would be on the top, u to the 30th. Then we have v. We have 8, and we have minus 23. And 8 minus 23 would be negative 15. So negative 15 doesn't stay at the top. It has to go to the bottom to become positive. So that's taken care of. And then we have 22 minus 6. And 22 minus 6 is 16, and that's positive, so it's going to stay on the top. So that big problem simplified down to that smaller fraction there.